And we're back. And we're wrapping up the crossover Battle Royal crossover finale. It is the end of this crossover between the Justice League and Suicide Squad. A lot to take in. And 3 issues that tie all this together in, I don't want to say a neat bow, but it's a package that is going to give us a lot of enjoyment going forward. And enjoyment, I mean more stories, because you know they just can't leave it be alone. We've got to have something come out of this. And what are your, real quick before we get into it, what was your overall thoughts as you read these last 3 issues?
It was good. It was a really good going into Justice League versus Suicide Squad. I wasn't really sure what to think. I mean, we just had the Suicide Squad film. I wasn't sure if it was just kind of be shoehorned together, like, oh, we need to have these guys fight the Justice League right now.
I thought that at first. Yeah, I did think that at first.
But it turned out very, very well. I mean, it was well fleshed out, and it's a good plot line that does lead to some cool stories going forward.
Yes. Justice League versus Suicide Squad number 6. Justice League versus Suicide Squad conclusion. We have looks like a new hero in the midst with Killer Frost. She was instrumental in taking down Eclipso because of what Amanda Waller had said, that they had used sunlight to contain the Eclipso diamond. So Batman figures, well, somehow we got to make a prism, and we have to direct Superman's heat vision onto Eclipso to break all the people under his control. That happens, but it almost cost Killer Frost her life.
Yeah. It took a lot of her powers just to keep the atoms in the prism lined up, and that was kind of a cool thing too. Is now we have Killer Frost with a science background, and she can actually, design that prism scientifically so it refracts
a
the
word
light.
that I can say as opposed to you. Mark that down.
It's okay. It only happens when you have so much spit in your mouth at once. Yeah, can get that more cohesively, and I think that makes Killer Frost an interesting character too. Bear in mind too, Killer Frost took out the entire Justice League not that long ago to save the Suicide Squad. So, wow, then Eclipso.
And then when Eclipso eclipsed her, possessed her, he was saying, "What is your most deepest, darkest desires?" And she said, "To make a difference."
Yeah.
And with that impressed Batman enough to, when this was all over, they offer her a spot in the Justice League. And Batman tells Amanda Waller that she is with us now, that her sentence is pretty much over. But yeah, it's not over, because we find out a little bit more after the Justice League and the Suicide Squad. They kind of have their powwow. Batman talks to Amanda Waller, but then Max Lord, who survived somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
We find out that there was more to the story than what happened. This was orchestrated.
Yeah, for me it was a little hard to tell if that was true or not. But Max, as Max is in prison, he's got a bunch of tubes coming into him, which Amanda Waller says are blood thinners. So if he ever tries to use his powers and gets a nosebleed, he's gonna bleed out. She says he'll bleed out before he ever makes it to the door. Max says, basically implies that Waller was behind him losing his position at Checkmate. She may have been behind him getting the intelligence on the original Suicide Squad. She may have been, the one who told him about the Eclipso diamond. And that this may have been orchestrated to essentially to create a common enemy between the Justice League and the Suicide Squad to get Batman off her back. Because Batman is the one who was first kind of alerted to the Suicide Squad. And reading that, I couldn't really tell if that was true. I mean, I could totally see that being true because it's Amanda Waller and she'll do pretty much anything, or if that's just him kind of trying to deflect the blame. Trying to manipulate the situation into a light that's more favorable to him. Because, I mean, Amanda doesn't say...
She neither confirms or denies it, but I wouldn't put it past her.
It would make sense.
She is quickly... And she was this... If you ever watched Justice League, the animated universe series, she was a big a big part of that. She was a major player. And it feels like she is becoming that major player again in the DC universe, Rebirth universe. I could see her doing that, but she neither confirms or denies them.
Yeah.
She does not give the pleasure of Max Lord being right.
Yeah.
She won't admit it.
Yeah. And maybe kind of the best reward for her is now she has Max Lord.
Yes.
And Max Lord says, okay, is this where you say I get to join the Suicide Squad? And she says, no, I have bigger plans for you on Task Force 11.
Yep.
So apparently there's going to be kind of a successor to Suicide Squad coming at some point, and that makes me wonder what's she going to do with Max Lord?
Yes.
And what's going to happen to Task Force X?
Right.
Or should we be calling it Task Force 10? Because now I'm confused.
Exactly.
Reading this issue, I had to go back pages like, wait a minute, Task Force 11?
Yep.
Is that supposed to be Task Force 10?
Exactly.
Was the original one Task Force 9?
I was confused.
I don't know.
I just confused. It's just Task Force X.
Yeah. Call it Task Force Y.
Why not?
That would be better. That would be better.
Well, we see Batman also trying to recruit Lobo, the anti-hero of the DC universe, the main man. Is it to keep an eye on him, or does he see something that maybe no one else saw in him?
That's one of the weirdest interactions I've ever seen in comic books, is Batman saying, hey, I'd like you to join the Justice League, to Lobo, of all the characters. I mean, it's cool because, if he joins the Justice League, it'll put him in the spotlight. That'll make people happy.
Right.
It makes me wonder, Lobo doesn't have much responsibility in comics.
No.
I mean, he's essentially a bounty hunter, a mercenary. Maybe Batman thinks this will give him some responsibility, and this will make him into more of a hero than an anti-hero. I mean, Lobo's not a bad guy. He's just
Lobo.
He's Lobo.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
That's a stretch, but stranger characters have joined Justice League before.
Yeah.
What about the rest of the characters? Where are they all at this issue? Are they all wrapped up? What happened to the original Suicide Squad?
Well, Max kind of taunts Amanda and where, what happened to the rest of the squad is the Emerald Empress is off. She's trying to contain the Emerald Eye of Ekron, which is starting to collapse. If that breaks, she's not going to be able to make it to the future. She's still looking for Saturn Girl. She's not sure she can find her by herself. So she says, well, maybe I can do it with 5.
Yep.
And that's a reference to the Fatal 5, which is the group of Legion villains she was originally on, with Tharok, Validus, the Persuader, and Mano. Because my Legion knowledge only slightly surpasses my Wonder Woman knowledge. And then Dr. Polaris is still out there. I mean, he has dissociative identity disorder. That's his classic comic book thing, is Dr. Polaris is an alternate identity in his head from, standard Neil Emerson. Okay. And in this we see, he's back to being Neil Emerson. He's starting to say, okay, what have I done? Is this blood on my helmet? What did I do? They made me be Dr. Polaris again. Yep. So he's back to his old things. Johnny Sorrow is apparently gone. But, he's probably back to the dimension where he came. His mask is still here. Yep. That's being studied, and probably bad things are going to happen from that. One of the researchers working with it says, the mask is whispering about a society. Yep. And that makes me wonder, is that the Earth 2 society? Because he was, classically a Justice Society villain. Or is he talking maybe about the Injustice Society? That was the group he led before. Who knows? And we know Rustam is still out there. Yep. And in this one, he's staring at a certain group of teenagers who we will see in very shortly. Yes. And worst of all, the Eclipso diamond is still out there. Yes. Because it's a diamond, and it's kind of hard to break a diamond. Right. And it's somewhere in the world, and it's just about to be found by a kid of all.
So we haven't seen the last of Eclipso and the original Suicide Squad as they branch off to different stories. Justice League of America Rebirth #1, Killer Frost. And we are going to talk a little bit of 2 epilogues here. Let's talk about what happens with Killer Frost in this issue.
Well, Killer Frost knows that the Justice League kind of wants her on the team. I mean, Batman's already talked to Amanda Waller. Superman kind of gives her a pep talk after the battle with Eclipso. She kind of knows she's got the ticket out of Belle Reve.
Yes.
Amanda Waller is not pleased with that.
No.
She wants to keep Killer Frost in there, basically under her thumb for the rest of her life. And, Waller says you would be more useful to everyone as a killer.
Yep.
Not as a hero. At the same time, she also wants to keep her, basically locked up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Amanda, you can't have it both ways.
Yep.
I mean, yes, you can lock her up. You're still letting her out to go do all these missions with the Suicide Squad. And she does not have, Amanda Waller doesn't have a high opinion of any of the villains that she works with. And she really doesn't have a high opinion of Killer Frost. It makes me wonder if that's just because of kind of her optimism.
Yeah, very.
Because Amanda Waller is not an optimist.
No, very pessimistic.
Yeah.
Very pessimistic. She talks about her vampiric need to feed on the life force of other people, that she will always give in to the hunger. Mm-hmm. Therefore, she's a killer. Amanda Waller isn't going down without a fight, so she starts to tempt Killer Frost while they await her transfer orders. Suddenly they got lost. The paperwork got lost. We have to wait a bit. All that was Amanda Waller trying to prove a point to Killer Frost and to the Justice League, especially Batman, that Killer Frost is a killer, and if you put her in the right situation, she's going to revert to form. Mm-hmm. First, she puts her in, was it the cell? She didn't put her in the cell first.
She was in the prison yard, and she gets confronted by Dr. Toxic, who's one of my favorites, who just has a, big dome full of, I'm assuming hot liquid or whatever.
Yep.
And Dr. Toxic kind of gives her a talking to, like, oh, you're going soft. You're, you're not one of us anymore. We could stomp all over you. Yep. And Frost catches on right away that, oh, the guards are letting this happen.
Yes.
This is Amanda Waller trying to get me to do stuff. And then eventually she gets transferred to another cell, and her roommate is named Heatstroke, and she has fire for hair.
Yep.
And so that's another test, essentially. And when she makes it through that, I mean, she saves Heatstroke from getting killed by the members of the Sun, because Heatstroke ratted on her partner / her ex, Daryl, who was previously known as Cold Snap. Frost ends up saving her, essentially almost sacrificing herself because she was so low on fuel, so to speak. And she says, well, I passed that test. Mm-hmm. And Amanda Waller says, no, every second you spend away from me is a test.
Yep.
And, there are, a million ways to lose and only one way to win. Mm-hmm. And that's with me.
Yeah, and Heatstroke gave her a blood transfusion is how she was able to survive. And after that, Batman was there and told Amanda Waller, your game's over, this is over. And Batman has a conversation with, the little twist in the story is Batman has a conversation with Killer Frost and says, are you able to control your hunger? Then you see little flashbacks of every time she had made contact with someone, you see a little blue bubble around, a little blue circle. It's kind of insinuating that she fed a little bit at a time. And she says, yes, I have it under control. So is she just taking just enough to get by? Is she always going to have that craving? Will the Justice League, will Batman, will they find a way to kind of help cure her affliction?
You'd think the Justice League, with all their technology, would have something at hand to help her with that. And even then, I mean, even if she's just doing it from those little tiny contacts, you'd think that would still be preferable to her completely draining somebody, and killing him. I mean, it might not be that good for her, especially if she's not getting very much at a time.
Right.
But, if it doesn't kill anybody, then... But, yeah, it's very hard to take that ending. It kind of does give that little hint of doubt.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
okay, is she really on the up and up?
Because her survival instinct is going to kick in. Eventually she's going to need to survive, not because she wants to, because she has to. And I want to quickly go back to Justice League vs. Suicide Squad 6, where she was so weak that Batman was willing to sacrifice himself to stop Eclipso. And she said, I can't take your life force. And she had done the prison the first time, and they said, you don't have to take a little bit from all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, after she freed the rest of the Justice League and the Suicide Squad, who finally got their blue faces, which I'm sure made Captain Boomerang happy.
Yeah. And so I think right now she just does what she needs to survive. So hopefully they figure out. Mm-hmm. We'll see Killer Frost, and we'll see the Ray, and we'll see Vixen, and we'll see the Atom in Justice League of America here next month.
Is Lobo going to be on that team, or is he going to be on Justice League proper? Do you know?
I don't know yet.
He would be an interesting addition to that team, but he would be an interesting addition to either team.
Suicide Squad number 10, Justice League versus Suicide Squad Epilogue, The Cost. Where'd Rostam go? Well, we find out.
Yeah. At the end of Justice League versus Suicide Squad number 6, we see the little glimpse we see of him is he's up on a rooftop. He's looking at some teenagers, which, before you read this, just means he's out there. He's going to prey on somebody. Well, in this one, as it turns out, those are Amanda Waller's kids.
Yeah.
Those are her 3 remaining kids, because her husband is dead and 2 of her kids are dead. And these are her kids. Mm-hmm. And so Rustam breaks into a military base in Alaska, makes it all the way to a nuke. I mean, with his sword that can cut through anything, which would probably not be good, and then ends up taping a photo of Amanda Waller's kids to the nuke. And I do love when the military officers are there and they make it to that room thinking the nuke's going to be split apart or maybe going to explode at any minute, and they just found that photo, and the one guy says, oh wow, what a twist, and the other guy says, what do you mean what a twist? We don't know who these people are.
Right.
That's a stupid twist. It made me laugh, but that's a big threat to Amanda Waller.
Yep.
Is Rustam knows she has kids. She knows she has that vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. Rustam I like the character because he has a sense of honor, and he wasn't trying to kill the kids, he was trying to make a point that she is not what she thinks she is. Mm-hmm. And she thought that they were going after kids, so she went and picked them up
or had them abducted by the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. But even then she's twisting, like, I've kept you safe, I've kept this country, I've kept this planet safe all this time, and they don't view it like that. They view her completely different on how she sees herself.
Yeah, it's funny to see Amanda Waller act like Mom. I mean, at one point she even says, it's okay, Mama saved you, or something like that. And the kids just stare at her kind of blankly. Saying,
we saved ourselves, you haven't been around, so don't try to come into our lives, we're fine without you.
Yeah.
And, well, it was a lot. Rustam had planted a tracking device on one of the kids, and he had a little pet, I think, and he was saying, I could take him out anytime I chose not to. I want you to see what you've become, and that kind of like that's my revenge is this is you as a person. You're not who you think you are.
Yep.
And your own family doesn't care for you.
And the fact that he knew that one of them was going to have a kid. Mm-hmm. She was going to be a grandmother.
Yep.
And even she didn't know that because she hadn't been around the kids. And I think it's worth noting, too, I mean, this is Amanda Waller. Mm-hmm. She's one of, the most powerful characters I can think of in DC Comics in terms of just bureaucracy and government control. Mm-hmm. And she has a lot of enemies.
Oh,
I mean, everyone she's screwed over the years, mm-hmm. Or the families of the people who have died under her watch or died because of her. And it kind of goes along with that, not really a cliche of, the high-powered agent or secret agent or politician who has to keep their family safe. Yep. They have to maintain that distance from their loved ones and their relatives who might not take, a girlfriend or a wife because they're just going to get killed.
Yep.
And here's Amanda Waller doing that. At the same time, she's kind of doing that in her cold, when she finally meets the kids, she's in that cold, emotionless mode. She's not in mom mode. She's not saying, here, come here, it's okay.
Right.
She doesn't turn it off. It's just, you're here, you're safe, this is what I do for a living. Don't pay any attention to the freaks behind me.
Yeah.
I'm still your mom.
Yep.
And at one point, even her daughter says, you don't get to call yourself that. Mm-hmm. You weren't here. It's So it's a lot of emotional tugging for Amanda Waller, which is something I think she hasn't felt for a long time.
No. The next issue comes up, what is it, the end of Amanda Waller?
Yeah, that's the teaser for the next one.
Yep.
We get the end of Amanda Waller, question mark. Because at the end of this one, her kids leave, and Amanda, as she's standing there, says, I won this one,
Yep.
but why does it feel like I lost?
Yep.
You know, I think she's starting to feel that. I don't think they'd ever kill off Amanda Waller.
No.
They'd never take her away from Suicide Squad, because that would be ridiculous. But it makes me wonder, is something going to change?
You think they might try to humanize her?
Maybe. I mean, that might, in a way, I think that almost might be as bad as killing her.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's Amanda Waller. Humanizing her, I don't think would help her character at all.
No.
I mean, that's what makes Amanda Waller Amanda Waller. She's the scariest comic book character, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd rather be in an elevator with Lobo than in an elevator with Amanda Waller. Because she's scary.
Yes. Whew. There was a lot there. A lot of subtle hints of where she goes. Where does this all go from here? We're done with Justice League versus Suicide Squad. We're obviously going to have some ramifications, a new team, an old team. Was this crossover a success for you? Did you enjoy it?
I did. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, especially the interaction between the League and the Squad.
Yes.
Because, I mean, aside from really Batman, who has, he knows Deadshot and Harley Quinn and Killer Croc, and, Flash knows Captain Boomerang, it's still kind of a lot of first meetings.
Yes.
For that, with the Enchantress and El Diablo, and, the Green Lanterns aren't particularly fond of Captain Boomerang,
right.
and it was really enjoyable, and it sets up a lot of interesting stories that they could do in the future. They're not rushing back into Johnny Sorrow coming back or the Emerald Empress searching for Saturn Girl. It's things they're gonna hit at some point. They're just kind of on the horizon to connect the dots in the future.
I agree with you. I enjoyed it. At first I was, is this a cash in for a movie? But now it stood on its own, and it made me enjoy the Suicide Squad a lot more than what I did going into it. That's going to wrap up this episode of Comic Book Cove. Any thoughts going forward? Now it's just kind of like back to normal. No more crossovers on the horizon right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of one of our favorite parts is done with Justice League versus Suicide Squad, but we've still got a lot of story arcs that are continuing. I mean, we've got Wonder Woman's seemingly endless story arc where she's trying to find her history. We've got the Flash dealing with the Rogues. I mean, there's still a lot of cool things coming.
Definitely. And if you have any questions or any comments on what you would like to hear us talk about, review, drop us a line at our Facebook and YouTube site at Delve Into the Void. So for this issue of Comic Book Cove episode, it's all the same to me. I'm Tom Morris.
And I'm Josh Holderbaum.
And Lady Margot Leaf says we'll see you next episode of Comic Book Cove.